Hello everyone, welcome to Current News. I'm your host Chris Davis, and today this will be my review of Marvel's Avengers. Now this is a controversial game. It's gotten a lot of bad reviews, but I don't think it deserves those bad reviews. The game does have some issues, but overall this is a really good game and it at least deserves an 8 out of 10. I wouldn't go any lower than 7, but it at least deserves like an 8 out of 10. So I'm just going to get that right out of the way. So I think that people have been review bombing this game because they're afraid to have their own opinion. They're afraid of saying I like this game, it's a great game, because they're afraid of backlash or fan outrage, because it's popular, I think, to hate this game or to review bomb it. I just think the people who have reviewed it haven't given it a really fair shake. All the point of, I say, like, lying or not telling the complete truth about this game, and I'll get to that in a later part in the video. So let's talk about the single player, the campaign. So this game has a really great story. So it starts off with you as Kamala Khan when she was younger, going to Avengers Day, and she's really fascinated with superheroes. You can see these heroes through her eyes and how much she idolizes them. She even does a contest to get to meet with them. That's how much she really likes these superheroes, and it's a dream come true when she finally meets them in person. But then tragedy strikes, and then there's a terrible accident on Avengers Day. Captain America is believed to be dead, and the Avengers are blamed for the incident because they put an experimental engine, Terra Mist, before it was ready, and so they were blamed for the incident on Avengers Day. So speed up 5 years later, you're Kamala Khan. You've been infected by the Terrigen Mist. I know I mispronounced it earlier, but Terrigen Mist, you've been infected, and AIM is rounding up all the Inhumans, and they're disappearing. They say they're helping Inhumans, but as soon as AIM takes them away, no one hears from them again, and you have to hide who you are because people are prejudiced against you. So Kamala goes on this trip to figure out what really happened on Avengers Day and bring the Avengers together. When she meets the Avengers, they're not as they remember her. They're really beating themselves up and blaming themselves for something that really wasn't their fault. It was really AIM's fault. AIM set them up. But you go through the story as Kamala Khan, and you try to bring these heroes together to figure out what really happened on Avengers Day. When you're playing through the campaign, it really gives you this opportunity to play as each Avenger, and I like it because it gives you this chance to see, okay, what Avenger do you play the best as? Is it Thor, Iron Man, Hulk? Me personally, Iron Man's my favorite character. In this game, he's the most versatile. I like how he flies. It's pretty fast, and I like all the weapons that Iron Man can use and stuff. With this game system that it has, and what it has really been bashed on is its gear system. A lot of people are going to be misleading and say the gear doesn't change how you look. You can't tell the difference of the gear. The gear doesn't make a difference in combat. That is one of the biggest lies that reviewers have said, that the gear doesn't do anything. Now, the gear doesn't change your appearance, that's true, but it does drastically change combat. So depending on what gear you have, you may be one-shotted, or you may be able to survive a few hits, or knock out enemies in 2 or 3 hits. Gear is really important because it not only buffs up your stats, it can also give you special perks. So I'm going to name a few of them. Few of the perks are defensive buffs, offensive buffs, increases your defense and attack. Really good ones are cryo, so you freeze your enemy after a combo. Gamma radiation, you poison your enemy with gamma radiation after a melee combo. Pim particles, you can shrink them. Gravity, you can throw them up in the air if you use a combo. It depends on what the gear you have. So gear does drastically change your combat. Now, while we're on the subject of combat isn't a simple light attack, heavy attack. It's more nuanced than that. So when you are in combat, you may have to go in and out. You can't just stay in there. You're going to have to strategize a bit. Also, there's countering. If you're a good counterer, and that will help you in combat a lot. There's countering, and that can stun your enemies, leaving them open for an attack. So this game is far more complicated than a simple like button mash like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. There's a lot more that goes into it. Another thing that really affects your combat is the skills you have unlocked for your hero. The skills you've unlocked for your hero will open up more combos for you to use, guard breaking maneuvers to break enemies' guards. Some, depending on what hero you have, you can go through their shields more easily. So combat in this game is a lot more tougher than a lot of reviewers have given it credit for. But that's what makes it fun. If it was a simple, just mindless beat 'em up, you button mashed, then this wouldn't be interesting. It wouldn't involve any skill. It wouldn't involve you going in and out, you strategizing, you countering and parrying attacks. It's just a lot more goes into combat than what people will either realize or even care to admit. Now, the reason why this game has been reviewed bombed so badly is because the bugs in the game and I want to say monetization. The latter, to me, is really blown out of proportion, monetization. But let's start with the glitches. So from my playthrough, the glitches haven't been horrendous. It's just sometimes when in the story, you can kind of see the character's face kind of be disproportionate. And that shouldn't be in a final product of a game. I can see why people would knock that off. But the game hasn't froze on me. The game hasn't like gotten stuck in a glitch or anything. So far it's been smooth other than those like glitches with the vase. And that really only happened to me towards the end of the game. After you finish the campaign, there's all these kinds of side missions that you can do to unlock better gear, and also it gives you the opportunity to level up your character. Young Ripa59 mentioned this, that let people main with characters. I think that's a great idea because it's going to be very difficult, or it's going to take a really long time to level up all these characters all at once. It's just going to take a really long time, whereas you specialize in maybe 1 or 2 characters. So if people want to let Hulk or Captain America be their main character, go ahead and let them do that. Another thing that I want to suggest, this game, people have complained that it doesn't have a lot of content. But to me, we have to ask, what is their definition of content? Are we talking about more story? Are we talking about more loot to unlock? Like, what is the definition here? Marvel's Avengers, I've beaten the single campaign. So far, I haven't played another story in it, but it's really replayable. I'm having a lot of fun trying to upgrade my Iron Man to be the best Iron Man like it could possibly be. Like, my Iron Man can now can use a holographic shield in battle, and I'm also upgrading my Hulk Buster to shoot rockets and use the Unibeam, whereas before it could only punch and do a rocket punch. That's basically it. So upgrading your character's skills unlocks a lot of combat that can help you, especially when you're playing on the brutal level. The multiplayer, what I have to say about like the multiplayer, I played like 3 or 4 hours yesterday in the multiplayer. I didn't play with anyone else, just by myself. It may be because no one's playing the game right now, but the game is really fun. I'm just having a lot of fun upgrading like my Iron Man character and unlocking skills and gears to make him more powerful. I know like this game is like on a down spiral right now, but I think if No Man's Sky and Destiny 2 can turn it around, Marvel's Avengers can. I think a lot of people expected a certain type of game coming from like Marvel because Marvel's so popular. But the creator said that they wanted to make this game, I don't want to sound generic, but they wanted to make it like special and unique. They didn't want to make it a generic game like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. These characters play differently from each other. They even have like different combat and different skills. Whereas Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, you just change the skin and you're basically pressing the same buttons or doing the same thing and just doing a different attack. Like Hulk, if you can really play well as Hulk, you won't die because of his rage and the willpower and how all that comes to play. Iron Man's is, like I said, is really good. He's very versatile, especially how he uses lasers and everything. But I hope this game does turn around. It's definitely a lot of fun to play. I would like to play with some people later on, but I had a lot of fun playing this game. Like when I beat the story, I played like the game maybe 3 to 4 hours. So I think last week and then yesterday. So it's a really fun game to play. Like I said, it's replayable. I don't think Kate Bishop or Hawkeye's daughter, whatever her name is, she's out yet. I could be wrong, but I've just had a lot of fun replaying the missions and stuff. So if people say that the combat is generic and it's just light attack, heavy attack, don't listen. They're wrong. They're just being blatantly like biased towards the game. People are really upset about the monetization, and that's what I also want to talk about too. Monetization in this game is really blown out of proportion. Your costume or your skin doesn't change the way you play. It's going to be your gear and the skills you unlock. Your costume is just how your character looks. That's it. If you want to change how your character looks, there's ways you can do it. If you collect enough in-game currency through missions, you can go to the shop and purchase a new skin. Or while you're doing missions, if you find some data or a fabrication ID or something, you use the fabrication machine and you unlock another costume. So that's really all it is. I didn't have to buy any real money in order to get the costume I want. It's just the monetization of the game was completely blown out of proportion than it was. Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix are listening to people's feedback, though. They have made some adjustments. But the combat is really fun. If people tell you that the combat is generic and it's like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, that's a lie. The combat is a lot more sophisticated than that. You have to counter, you have to upgrade your character's skills to unlock different combos and attacks. You have to grind up gear to, like I said, get those special buffs and effects that you do. The cryo, the gamma radiation, the PEM particles, the gravity skills. So there's a lot that goes into the game. It's just not a mindless like beat 'em up. I know people were whining because they couldn't beat their enemies with one shot. And you're not really supposed to, not until you get really good at the game and you really have the good gear, and that just takes time to do. You're gonna have to go on multiple missions in order to get multiple gear. Even though I'm at a pretty good level, I'm not at the highest. That's gonna take some more hours of gameplay, but that's okay. So in short, Marvel's Avengers is a really good game. We can debate about the multiplayer, but the single player and the missions that they have for you in the single player are a lot of fun. You can replay those missions, a lot of replayable missions in the single player, so you can have a lot of fun there while they figure out the multiplayer. Because one thing that I've heard from multiple sources, and I guess this is a fair criticism, is that the multiplayer has taken people a long time in order to find matchmaking, like 30 minutes or even longer to find someone to play with, and that is a drag. And I've heard that Steam users have dropped on Marvel's Avengers, but like I said, once they get this multiplayer thing turned around, this is going to be a really good game. Well, it is already a great game, single player wise. They just need to fix that multiplayer, and it'll be phenomenal. One more thing I want to chat with you before I end this video. I know people were complaining about there's no great villains and stuff. Like, they could have used other villains in this game. They could have, but their angle and their aim, no pun intended, was to use AIM as the villains in this story. Maybe years down the road or months down the road, they'll introduce a new story with other villains and stuff. But for this release, they were going with AIM as the main villains. So to me, that worked out. That worked really good. And seeing a MODOK origin story was very interesting. All right, that's all we have for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Did you play Marvel's Avengers? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked what I had to share, hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with all your friends, and all of you, have a great day.